Hello readers by eyes and by ears, this is Mari Chen and welcome back to my channel. Today we are commencing the second volume of Riverbay Road, Men's Dormitory by Fei Tian, Xiang, also known as Arise Jung. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to see where things go. So let's not dilly-dally and get started on chapter 27. That night, Suh-chun sat on the futon and applied himself seriously to the task of replying to his text messages. The way his fingers flew across the keyboard belied his anger. His phone had been ringing all night, and now, at last, he had the time to settle all these headaches. Yuwen watched him without disturbing him. At times, Suh-chun just frowned. At others, his face went dark with suppressed fury. After almost an hour, he finally threw his phone aside and let out a long sigh. Yuwen raised a questioning eyebrow at him. The guy looked utterly exhausted. Yuwen picked up Suh-chun's phone in a silent gesture, asking if he could look through it, an act that crossed the boundaries of a typical relationship. Not even married couples normally checked each other's phones. Even so, Yuwen knew that Suh-chun would agree. His views on love were conservative and traditional, just like his understanding of their relationship. As he expected, Suh-chun nodded. Yuwen scrolled through Suh-chun's chat history with the other guy, Pei Feng. There wasn't much useful information in the chat. Most of it was the two of them rehashing old scores and talking tough. Pei Feng was clearly furious too, and they were acting like two petulant children in a fight. Yuwen scrolled for a long time, but never quite identified the reason for their argument. So, what were you arguing about? He told my subordinate in the group chat to find a shipping order. I told him privately that everyone's on vacation right now, and it's not like it's urgent. Then, he blew up at me. Maybe he's anxious too. That's just how bosses are. The company hasn't paid out the year-end bonuses yet, and it's looking like they won't give them out before the spring festival. Suh-chun said wearily. We might all be out of jobs next year. The performance bonuses are all being delayed, and he's still asking people to work during their vacations. With a smile quirking at the corner of his mouth, Yuwen read more of the chat. After a while, Suh-chun asked, "What do you think?" Yuwen smiled at him. "Do you want the truth or just words of comfort?" "The truth, of course." He's got a chip on his shoulder because he thinks you're getting paid too much." Yuwen laid down. Suh-chun followed suit and hugged him, allowing the tender moment to cast his stress and irritation to the back of his mind. Yuwen was dying of curiosity. He wanted to ask about Suh-chun's erectile dysfunction, but ultimately he didn't. Instead, he stroked Suh-chun's face. The longer he looked at him, the more handsome he found him. Suh-chun wasn't as dashing as Jinxing, but he was still an attractive guy, with thick eyebrows, big eyes, and an air about him that was slightly aggressive, yet still reserved. At first glance, he seemed like a 7 out of 10, but the more Yuwen looked, the more pleasing and manly Suh-chun seemed. Yuwen felt Suh-chun's reaction to their closeness. "What happened to that erectile dysfunction, huh?" "It got better after I met you," Suh-chun whispered. "That's some high praise." "I'm serious." Yuwen tried to push Suh-chun away a little, but Suh-chun hugged him tighter, burying his face in Yuwen's shoulder. They were so close together they could almost hear each other's heartbeats. It was in that moment that Yuwen finally realized he liked Suh-chun. Really? Okay. That night, they did nothing but sleep, hugging each other close. If someone were to set their love for one another on a seesaw, Yuwen had no doubt that Suh-chun's love would be as heavy as a mountain and his own as light as a feather. But it was this gravitational force that pulled Yuwen inexorably toward Suh-chun. Tonight, WAY-dzuh was caught up in an emotional whirlwind. He was certain that he didn't stand a chance with Jinxing, but that kiss had ignited a love inside him that he couldn't control. He'd always wanted to find an assertive top who could dominate him, But learning about Chang Jinxing's sexual preferences during the heartfelt truth-sharing only made Zheng Weize like him more. His love for Chang Jinxing was a tangled mess of wanting to be fucked by him and wanting to dote on him. And for Zheng Weize, this was uncharted territory. That night, while Chang Jinxing was charging his camera and looking through the photos on it, Zheng Weize sat in the corner, hugging his knees and texting on his phone. "Look at these," Chang Jinxing said. He showed Zheng Weize the photos he had captured of everyone when the fireworks went off. Each guy's expression told its own unique story. Zheng Weize looked at the photos and smiled. The look on Chang Jinxing's face whenever he was engrossed in photography was mesmerizing. This was a man who adored photography, and with his dedication to and passion for his craft, he had Zheng Weize completely in his thrall. "Bedtime?" Chang Jinxing asked. "Yeah." Zheng Weize arranged their futons and set them side by side. He lay down, still texting, and Chang Jinxing settled down with his back to Zheng Weize, messing around on his own phone. Zheng Weize did not hug Chang Jinxing that day. Under the dark cover of the night, he lay awake, feeling sad and torn. Something had happened between the two of them, and not even very long ago. But at this point, Zheng Weize almost felt like he had imagined it. It was hard to know where to draw the line. Not long after Chang Jinxing returned from his business trip, Zheng Weize, who'd missed him a lot, bought him some gifts. While he was on the cruise, Zheng Weize even aired out Chang Jinxing's quilt and tidied up his bedroom like a good girlfriend. Even before that, their relationship had always seemed ambiguous. Chang Jinxing took care of him and pampered him. Short of spending money, he seemed willing to do anything for Zheng Weize. From hugging him to carrying his bag and buying him water. He let Zheng Weize lean on him and engage in all sorts of physical affection. Even when Zheng Weize kissed him, Chang Jinxing didn't refuse, though he never took the initiative to kiss Zheng Weize himself, and he never let Zheng Weize kiss him on the lips. What gave Zheng Weize hope was that, while Chang Jinxing rarely spent money on him, he also never spent Zheng Weize's money. He wasn't like that straight guy who had accepted everything Zheng Weize bought for him. And Chang Jinxing did occasionally spend a little on Zheng Weize, buying him a cup of milk tea, paying for his bus or subway ticket, or helping him make small purchases from online stores. He's just a little tight on money lately, Zheng Weize thought. He does like me. When Chang Jinxing returned, Zheng Weize was thrilled to see him again, and he kept pestering and talking to him. Chang Jinxing showed him the photos from the cruise, and when the night grew late, Zheng Weize didn't want to go back to his room. He decided to sleep over, and Chang Jinxing didn't refuse. That night, as Chang Jinxing lay in bed in a t-shirt and underwear and chatted with Zheng Weize hugged him. Chang Jinxing still didn't turn him away. Taking this as tacit consent, Zheng Weize tried touching his body, keeping his movements light and slow. At first, Chang Jinxing acted as if he was a little uncomfortable, but he didn't push Zheng Weize's hand away. It was only when Zheng Weize touched Chang Jinxing's nipple that Chang Jinxing indicated for him to stop. Zheng Weize was as enamored with Chang Jinxing's body as he was with his face. He loved those pecs, those abs, those long legs. This guy had everything in the right place, and he wasn't too bulky like Chahng was. Sometimes, Zheng Weize even fantasized about Chang Jinxing being overcome by his lust for Zheng Weize and having his way with him. He wanted to tempt Chang Jinxing into fucking him, and he figured that once they had slept together, he could emotionally blackmail Chang Jinxing, pressure him to take responsibility. Maybe Chang Jinxing would agree, even if he only went along with it half-heartedly. Besides, even if the blackmail plan failed, Zheng Weize had nothing to lose by sleeping with a handsome guy. He stroked his hand over Chang Jinxing's chest and down his abs. "Your dick's so big." In the darkness, Chang Jinxing laughed and fended off Zheng Weize's hand. He was still busy replying to messages on his phone. When Zheng Weize touched Chang Jinxing's clearly defined cock through his underwear, he found it was already hard. But before he could push the limits further and reach inside his underwear, Chang Jinxing finally pulled his hand away. "Don't," Chang Jinxing said with a warning smile. Zheng Weize clung to him, pressing their bodies together, and Chang Jinxing allowed it. But when Zheng Weize attempted to cross the line a second time, Jinxing issued a severe warning. "No groping," he snapped, sounding a little angry. Zheng Weize released him, providing what he thought was an obvious window of opportunity for Jinxing, but there was no reaction. Jinxing got up, put on his pajama pants, and lay back down. He glanced at Zheng Weize and petted him on the head, perhaps a little too harsh. "Who are you messaging?" Zheng Weize asked. After a moment's thought, he replied, "A girl." "Girlfriend?" Zheng Weize knew that Jinxing was bisexual. "Not yet." "Which means she will be. Let me see." Jinxing generously showed Zheng Weize his phone. Zheng Weize was taken aback. "She's calling you hubby, and you say she's not your girlfriend yet?" he said in disbelief. He'd never been with a fuckboy like this before. He had no natural defenses against this kind of behavior. "She's just joking around," Jinxing said with a smile. He ran a finger across Zheng Weize's cheek. "She's just a friend. Are you jealous?" Zheng Weize was at a loss for words. He lay down with his back to Jinxing, wanting to cry, and Jinxing made no move toward him. He didn't finish chatting with his girl until nearly 2 a.m, at which point he turned around, wrapped his arms around Zheng Weize from behind, and fell asleep. Zheng Weize felt the urge to sit up in the middle of the night and ask what exactly he was to Jinxing, but he didn't have the courage. Besides, Jinxing was sound asleep. This was the skill of a fuckboy, and Zheng Weize was finally experiencing it firsthand. Guys like that wouldn't profess their feelings or define the relationship, but they wouldn't reject you either. When you demanded an explanation, you were left feeling like you were making baseless accusations, swinging your fist at empty air. Then, the jerk would adopt an innocent, wounded look, like he was the real victim. And the only thing worse than a fuckboy was a bisexual fuckboy. Zheng Weize didn't understand why the Almighty would test him so cruelly as to put such a species in his path. But who else could he love if not Jinxing? In fact, Zheng Weize did have another candidate, but he was an even riskier option than Jinxing, because he was straight. For now, Zheng Weize would call him Whiskey. And yes, he was yet another straight guy. Somehow, Zheng Weize always seemed to get involved with straight guys. Recently, Zheng Weize's feelings had been oscillating between Jinxing and Whiskey, making him feel conflicted and distraught. He couldn't get a proper response from Jinxing, and he didn't dare to reveal too much to Whiskey, especially not while Whiskey was the top fan on his female livestream account. After he returned home on Christmas Eve, Zheng Weize had put on his wig and turned on his voice changer in preparation for a few hours of streaming, trying to recoup the money he'd spent on the gifts for his roommates. Then, a man named Whiskey entered his channel. "Thank you, Whiskey, for the roses," Zheng Weize said with a smile. "Is everyone safe and at peace this Christmas Eve? Or are you spending it alone like me?" Whiskey sent him more roses, never once leaving the channel. It was Christmas Eve, so there were few viewers, and Zheng Weize was too full from dinner to turn up the charm, so he started talking about his childhood. As midnight approached and the countdown was about to begin, Whiskey was still there. "It's time for the countdown," Zheng Weize grinned. "Let's count down together. 3, 2, 1. Yay!" The viewer count was dismal. It was only Zheng Weize and this stranger named Whiskey. After the countdown was over, Whiskey silently left, and Zheng Weize ended the stream to count his meager Christmas Eve earnings. But the next day, Whiskey came again, and for 3 consecutive days, he sent Zheng Weize gifts worth several thousand yuan. He made his way to the top of Zheng Weize's fan contributor letterboard in no time. Zheng Weize tried hard to please him and engage him in conversation. "Do you like drinking whiskey?" Finally, one day, after he was done sending gifts, Whiskey responded, "Yeah, do you drink?" "I can, but I don't do it often." So, they started chatting, and perhaps because he was online and talking to a streamer who was a total stranger to him, Whiskey seemed to feel free to reflect on his life. He shared quite a lot about himself. Zheng Weize learned he was a 33-year-old man who had once gone to Africa for work and returned to divorce papers from his wife. His wife took the child and money and remarried, and now Whiskey lived alone. During the quiet hours of the night, he drank alone and watched streamers online, often opening several channels simultaneously. Lately, though, he rarely watched the other streamers. In his own words, Zheng Weize was different from the others, though Whiskey himself couldn't quite articulate why. Deep down in his heart, Zheng Weize knew the answer. Because I'm a guy. It was only natural that a man could do a better job of understanding what other men were thinking and relating to them. For example, when it came to the loneliness of drifting in a foreign country, or their uncertainty and wistfulness about their career and life plans, they chatted enthusiastically. And Whiskey wasn't like the other straight guys who asked to see Zheng Weize's boobs and thighs once they were on more familiar terms, even though Zheng Weize had fake bras prepared in advance. All along, Whiskey believed that Zheng Weize was a girl. He said she was pure, enthusiastic, and generous. But a few days later, their conversation took a turn for the inappropriate. Whiskey began talking about his loneliness and his girlfriend in Africa, about how he'd cheated on his wife in Africa while his wife was cheating on him back home. This affirmed Zheng Weize's belief that straight guys were all equally rotten. But even so, he accepted Whiskey's gifts and hoped for more. He'd been a streamer for a while now, and he was beginning to grasp the trick of making others offer him gifts willingly. Whiskey kept showering Zheng Weize with gifts as they chatted about all sorts of things. Zheng Weize disdained Whiskey as a crude straight guy, but he was also drawn to his experience. He shared his own story of life in Jiangdong City after he'd moved there, including his struggles being bullied at his job at the sales counter and moving from house to house. Finally, there was someone who would listen to his story. By switching his gender in these stories as he told them, Zheng Weize was able to seamlessly make himself out to be a beautiful, delicate, yet strong-willed girl struggling in the big city. This stirred Whiskey's protective instincts, and the gifts kept coming. In just 1 week, Zheng Weize had made over 10,000 from Whiskey. He was genuinely grateful to his patron, but he also felt uneasy knowing that, in truth, he was a guy dressed up as a girl. To put it bluntly, he was running a scam. But when Whiskey gifted Zheng Weize 4 virtual villas and 2 virtual sports cars, Zheng Weize finally succumbed to the allure of money. He was deeply moved. This straight guy must have fallen in love with him. Why else would he spend so much money on a live streamer otherwise? They exchanged contact information, moving their conversations from the live stream channel to their mobile phones. The content of their chat also became more personal. Zheng Weize shared part of his life with Whiskey, and he learned that Whiskey liked smoking and drinking. The only thing stopping him from getting closer to Whiskey was Zheng Weize's fear that he might be a balding, middle-aged man with a potbelly. Besides, he still liked Chang Jinxing. Whiskey's presence in his life often made him feel as if he had a main partner and a backup. Sometimes, when he was with Chang Jinxing, he sneakily replied to Whiskey's messages. It gave him a kick to feel like he was two-timing them. Zheng Weize was disappointed by Chang Jinxing's subtle rejection, but in his disappointment, he thought, luckily I still have Whiskey. On the first night of the new year, with his back to Chang Jinxing, Zheng Weize sent Whiskey a message. He had told Whiskey before he left that he was going to spend the new year with his girlfriends. Whiskey wanted to see Zheng Weize's girlfriends, but Zheng Weize saw through his ploy. Nah, not showing you. You want to see me? Whiskey asked him. Aren't you curious about my looks? Zheng Weize wanted to, but he was afraid. He wasn't mentally prepared. You look like you. What else could you look like? Whiskey sent a smirk emoji followed by a photo of himself. Zheng Weize blinked hard. The photo showed 2 guys sitting and drinking under some lights by the riverside at night. The one at the forefront was taking a selfie, and the guy behind him was smiling for the camera. Which one is you? Zheng Weize asked, sacrificing his composure. The guy in front appeared slightly more mature, perhaps because of the dim light, while the one in the back was a typical pretty boy. He wasn't on the same level as Chang Jinxing or Zhang Yuwen, but he was handsome nevertheless. "What do you think?" Whiskey replied. "The one in the back is my nephew." Jung Weize studied Whiskey's face, a little disappointed. Not bad, he thought. At least he had his hair and no receding hairline. He wasn't handsome, but he was a clear-cut, mature guy who rated a solid 5. No, 5.5 out of 10. All in all, better than Jung Weize had imagined. Next, Whiskey sent him a few older full-body photos of himself. There was even one from his younger days as a student. He'd looked much more handsome back then. Jung Weize carefully studied each photo and snuck a glance over his shoulder at Chang Jinxing, who was sleeping with his back to him. Jung Weize sighed, but as he looked at the photos, he found some attractiveness in Whiskey's looks. He wasn't 5'11", but his proportions were passable. It wasn't like Jung Weize was all that tall or good-looking himself. He couldn't afford to be too picky. Whiskey pestered him for his photos again. Jung Weize was prepared for this and sent him a few, and Whiskey said, "I'm on vacay for the next few days. Was thinking of going to Jiangdong. Want to meet up for a meal?" Of course! Jung Weize made an excuse to turn him down. Whiskey asked him for his mailing address, and, after a moment's thought, Jung Weize gave him the address of a parcel pickup point at the department store where he used to work. Whiskey bought him a mystery gift for the new year and asked Jung Weize to call him hubby. Touched and emotional, Jung Weize turned on the voice changer on his phone and fulfilled Whiskey's wish. Then, he turned to look at Chang Jinxing, wondering if he was asleep. Whiskey sent him a voice message too, and Jung Weize put the phone to his ear. "I love you, my darling, and I've loved you for a very long time," the mature voice said. "Go to bed early. Staying up late is bad for your skin. I'll head home as soon as I finish my drink." Tears began to flow freely from Jung Weize's eyes. He knew that this romance would never be, but he was deeply moved all the same. Chapter 28. The New Year's outing came to its end, and everyone returned to their exhausting, stressful lives. All of Zhang Yuwen's roommates thought, "Man, if only I were rich and didn't have to work." Meanwhile, Zhang Yuwen was thinking, "When the hell will I finally get my manuscript approved?" Jung Weize has scammed his first pot of gold from Whiskey. A gift worth more than 30,000 yuan. Despite the sudden windfall, he was anxious. What if Whiskey discovered his real identity and reported him to the police? Every time he saw a message from Whiskey, he felt like a thief, apprehensive and guilty. Chunhong's gym members were mostly gone. He needed to scout for a new location and open a modest gym this year. But this time around, he planned to start small and go with a private club format. Despite everything, he still had 120,000 yuan left in his savings, enough to take another gamble and see if he could turn his fortune around. He was 30 years old, and this was his last shot. If he failed again, he decided he'd resign himself to his fate, return to his hometown, and open a shop to make a living there. Yanjuan's job was the same as ever. He kept on going to work every day and strived to hit performance targets. His living conditions had improved significantly now that the others were helping with Xiao-chee. Now that he no longer had to rush between work, the childcare center, and home, his spirits had improved. Every morning, he drank coffee that was lovingly made by Chang Jinxing, and he could even swipe Chunhong's fitness meal from the refrigerator for breakfast. His commute decreased significantly. Meanwhile, as Xiao-chee grew older, she required fewer nighttime feedings, and she woke less frequently in the night. On occasion, when he had to work overtime, his roommates were able to pick Xiao-chee up on his behalf and feed her baby food. In short, Yanjuan was getting enough rest. He was in a better place mentally, and his future seemed bright. On his first day back at work, his boss told him that he was being promoted. Just like that, Yanjuan became a mid-level manager of a team of 7, and, most importantly, his salary saw a 70% boost. That evening, following the standard protocol, Yanjuan treated his subordinates to some drinks. It was 10 at night when he finally returned to number 7 Riverbay Road. Zhang Yuwen was still at his computer, tackling his own pile of trash. He had picked up Xiao-qi for Yanjun and fed her with Chang Jinxing, and then Jung Weize had lulled her to sleep. Now, Yanjun finally returned home, slightly unsteady on his feet. "You go out drinking again?" Zhang Yuwen asked. Yanjun merely smiled, pink-cheeked, and said nothing. Everyone else was asleep. Zhang Yuwen went to the kitchen to make some tea to sober Yanjun up. Although he'd had a lot to drink, Yanjun was still sober enough to ask about his daughter. "Where's Xiao-qi?" "She's asleep," Zhang Yuwen replied as he opened a tea bag. Yanjun followed him into the kitchen and wrapped his arms around Zhang Yuwen from behind. Hey, Zhang Yuwen said, surprised. This was out of character for Yanjun. He tried to push him away, but he couldn't break Yanjun's strong grip. "I know it's you. Just let me hold you for a while. Just a little while." Yanjun closed his eyes and savored this fleeting tenderness, the illusion that, on this night, someone had been waiting for him to drag his weary body home, leaving a light on for him in the dining room while his daughter was already fast asleep. This was probably Yanjun's greatest dream in life, and he knew that once he let go, it would all vanish into thin air. Zhang Yuwen realized that Yanjun was feeling wistful, and his irritation faded. Yanjun must have been exhausted, he supposed, and their home on Riverbay Road brought him momentary peace and comfort. After a moment, Yanjun let go and went to his room to check on Xiao-qi. Then he came back out to sit at the dining table and accepted the tea Zhang Yuwen offered him. The night was quiet, the only audible sound being Zhang Yuwen typing away on his keyboard. "I got a promotion," Yanjun said finally. "What?" Zhang Yuwen glanced at Yanjun and processed what he said. "Congrats! Wow!" Yanjun's answering smile was a little shy. "What about the salary?" "I got a raise too. I'll treat you all to a meal next week." "This is great news." Zhang Yuwen went over and hugged Yanjun, who heaved a long sigh, touched by the gesture. "It's always good to have extra money on hand. I'll be able to send more money home now. Make sure you eat better too. You're too thin." Zhang Yuwen knew that while Yanjun was frugal in his day-to-day life, he was still better off than their roommates. He only scrimped on himself, never on Xiao-qi, and he wouldn't spend a cent on anything he didn't need to. He hadn't touched the pensions and insurance payouts from his deceased brother and sister-in-law. Those were being saved for Xiao-qi's future dowry. And his mother, in the countryside, relied on him completely for her living and medical expenses. She had cataracts and diabetes and needed regular medication and checkups. Yanjun alone had to support his mother and raise his daughter in the big city. A monumental task for one man. Yanjun looked at Zhang Yuwen as if he wanted to say something, but in the end, he simply said, "It's 20,000 now." "Wow!" Zhang Yuwen exclaimed. A salary of 20,000 was impressive. It wasn't in the same league as Suh-chun's, but it was a solid middle-class wage. "That's so much." "Are you going to raise my rent?" Yanjun joked. Zhang Yuwen laughed, closed his computer, and studied Yanjun. For a moment, he wanted to tease him and ask him to pay for the roommate's babysitting services, given how often they looked after Xiao-qi, but he reconsidered it. "You need to make sure that you spend time with Xiao-qi. I know it's hard, but you've got to learn to balance family and career." "I know," Yanjun reassured him. "It'll only be for a few more days. I promise there will be no overtime, just like before." Zhang Yuwen nodded. Yanjun fell silent for a moment, thinking. Then he said, "I want to buy a house in Jiangdong." "Oh, that'd be quite the substantial down payment, wouldn't it?" Zhang Yuwen wondered if he could lend Yanjun some money. But Yanjun had a different idea. "I'll put it in Xiao-qi's name and use my brother and sister-in-law's insurance payout for the down payment." In truth, Yanjun was starting to nurse the notion of pursuing Zhang Yuwen romantically. At first, I'm sorry, let me have my moment. Okay. At first, he thought he didn't stand a chance. Suh-chun was the perfect match for Zhang Yuwen. But his promotion and raise provided a bit of much-needed encouragement and confidence. Love still seemed distant to him, but these new circumstances had at least given him a push forward. He still had vivid memories of doing high jumps in his student days. The bar seemed insurmountable, but he'd always charged ahead, flipped over the bar, and landed. He kept challenging it, and the bar kept rising until it reached the point where he hesitated. Looking at the bar from afar, it seemed difficult, but if he just gave it his all and forged ahead, he might just manage to reach it. In his vision of a perfect life, he would buy a house in Jiangdong and settle down in this unfamiliar environment. He would woo Zhang Yuwen, give him all the money he made, and let him manage Yanjuan's life, not just his body, but also his soul and everything else he had to give, his entire existence. "I can help you ask around," Zhang Yuwen said. "I have a friend who knows someone in real estate, but I wouldn't recommend buying a house now. The price might drop if you hold out for a while." Yanjuan considered Zhang Yuwen's suggestion. "So you think it's better to not buy now?" "Yeah, it'd be a heavy burden. Maybe you can wait until Xiao-chee starts kindergarten or elementary school before deciding. It'd help with choosing a good location near the school." Yanjuan nodded in understanding. "How's it going with you and Suh-chun?" he asked. "As well as can be expected," Zhang Yuwen laughed. "What exactly do you want to hear about?" Yanjuan's intuition told him that Zhang Yuwen and Suh-chun weren't official yet. If they were, circumstances would be a little different. Since they'd left the hot spring resort, Suh-chun had been busy with his company, and Zhang Yuwen hadn't asked him about his decision to switch jobs. After all, some people hated their jobs but still had to get a handle on their feelings and continue working. They still met for dinner twice a week, but this week's date had been canceled because Suh-chun was busy. They did still chat frequently online, though. "Are you guys official now?" Yanjuan asked. "I guess so." Zhang Yuwen thought about it. Yeah, we are. I don't know where it'll lead, but we both think it's worth a try." "So you're both just trying things out now?" Zhang Yuwen smiled and avoided Yanjuan's gaze. He hadn't demanded to meet Suh-chun because he understood what it was like to have work commitments. Several years ago, when his career was on the up, Zhang Yuwen had been in Suh-chun's shoes and unable to do a thing about it. Men and women alike had to make sacrifices for their partner's career. And after Zhang Yuwen and his ex broke up, he found the separation wasn't all that bad. Or rather, "You don't really like him that much," Yanjuan said plainly. Zhang Yuwen didn't speak for a long time. Then he said, "I actually do," understanding in the same moment what Yanjuan had left unspoken. "He doesn't like you that much either." "When you like someone, you want to see them all the time," Yanjuan said. "You can't help yourself at all." "That's teenage love. You're 27. You'd still act that way?" "Of course." Yanjuan smiled at Zhang Yuwen. Yuwen! Their conversation was interrupted by Jinxing hurrying down the stairs. He looked conflicted when he saw Zhang Yuwen and Yanjuan chatting, but Yanjuan gestured for him to sit, standing to return to his room for a shower and to keep Xiao-chee company. It was okay with him if Zhang Yuwen wanted to try things out with Suh-chun. Intuition told him that Zhang Yuwen and Suh-chun weren't meant to be. For one, their financial statuses were so disparate. They didn't come from the same world. He also felt confident that Zhang Yuwen was just lonely and that Suh-chun wasn't sincere, or at least not that sincere, so it wouldn't be long before they parted ways. He was a little jealous of Suh-chun, but he wasn't about to resort to anything devious. His thoughts were complicated, and in a sense, he'd projected another side of himself, a successful Yanjuan, onto Suh-chun. Zhang Yuwen had accepted Suh-chun's overtures, so if Yanjuan were to sincerely pressure him as someone of the same caliber as Suh-chun, he'd certainly accept him too. "Did you recommend me for a job?" Jinxing asked in bewilderment. "Did I?" Zhang Yuwen was just as puzzled. "You did ask me to..." "Oh, right. I asked a friend." Someone called just now and asked me to report to the film production crew tomorrow. I thought it was a scam. Zhang Yuwen remembered now. Before the new year, he asked a director friend who was his junior to find a job for Chang Jinxing, but he completely forgotten about it after a few days. Didn't you ask me to help you ask around? Zhang Yuwen said. I doubt it's a scam. Did he say who he was? Chang Jinxing sat in Yanjuan's seat, looking anxious. He said they were filming a short, 12-episode drama. No mention of the pay. He just said to join the crew tomorrow as a camera assistant and gave me an address and the number for a contact. Zhang Yuwen glanced at the note Chang Jinxing had written. Oh, I see. In that case, you should go. Your friends in the film industry? Chang Jinxing couldn't believe it. In most people's eyes, filming drama series or movies was a high-end, unattainable job. Zhang Yuwen couldn't reveal his identity, of course. He didn't want to risk waking everyone up by making Chang Jinxing yell. They're an HR agent who recruits employees for various production crews, he said. All I said is that you have a background in photography. And this was where Chang Jinxing completely exposed himself. But I know nothing about set photography and cinematography. Okay. He was so nervous he didn't know what to do. What are they going to have me do? Aren't you a photography major? Silence hung in the air between them. I've forgotten everything I learned, Chang Jinxing said, hastily correcting himself. It's okay. A camera assistant mostly, assists. Someone will guide you. But Chang Jinxing was still panicking. What should I take note of the first time I join the crew? Don't worry about it, Zhang Yuwen reassured him. Don't panic. Just watch and learn. Ask questions if you must, and follow the camera people. Address them politely. Be proactive in passing them the equipment, and run errands for them. That's all. Besides, you're so handsome, they'll definitely like you. Who knows? They might even ask you to try out for a role. How do you know all this? Chang Jinxing asked. Zhang Yuwen was dangerously close to giving himself away. Isn't that how it usually is? It's just common knowledge, Zhang Yuwen said hastily. Chang Jinxing sighed. Do you want to give it a try? You could just turn it down. I remember... Chang Jinxing glanced at Zhang Yuwen and saw encouragement in his eyes. It's a job I want to try, he said. That's right. Thank you, Yuwen. I've always wanted to be a real photographer. Zhang Yuwen nodded in understanding. You're just worried that you aren't up to the task, now that the opportunity has come knocking. Yeah, exactly. Chang Jinxing was very worked up. You took the words right out of my mouth. Makes sense, I guess, since you're a writer. I'm just worried that I won't know what to do when I'm there, and I'll end up ruining my shot. Nah, that won't happen, Zhang Yuwen said. You can do it. Your photos are some of the best I've ever seen. Your shots are very emotive. This encouragement didn't help a great deal, but it was better than nothing. Eventually, Chang Jinxing made up his mind and nodded. Can I borrow some of your clothes to wear? He asked. Mine are still wet from the wash. Just go as you are. No one cares what a camera assistant wears. And with that gorgeous face your parents gave you, you'd look great in anything. Zhang Yuwen wanted to voice these thoughts aloud, but to give Chang Jinxing some confidence, he went up to his room and picked out a handsome jacket for him. My ex scrimped and saved to buy this for me. It's from a Parisian designer. I've only worn it twice. Chang Jinxing always seemed to wind up associated with other people's exes. First, he'd worn Chunhong's ex's clothes at Chunhong's house, and now he was wearing a jacket Zhang Yuwen got from his ex. Great! You look very spirited. Zhang Yuwen patted him on the shoulder. You're good to go. Chang Jinxing tidied his hair and nodded apprehensively, looking as if he'd received a protective amulet instead of a jacket. From the bottom of his heart, he said, Thanks. I love you, Yuwen. Laughing, Zhang Yuwen shoved him out of the room and told him to get the hell back to sleep. Chapter 29. Chang Jinxing tossed and turned in bed that night, his mind swimming with weird thoughts. It was almost dawn when he finally fell asleep, but he still woke up early to begin his day. He sat at the dining table, drinking coffee with trembling hands and checking the time over and over. You just got back? Weize asked in a disbelieving tone. Nope, I have a thing today, Jinxing told him. I'm going out later. After a while, Chahng came home. Did you stay up all night again? Nah, Jinxing said. I'm getting ready to go to work. Yuwen got up, too, to take Xiao-chee to the childcare center. Did you sleep at all last night? Did you? Jinxing countered. Yuwen rubbed his eyes. I did eventually. I always have trouble sleeping in the spring. Yuwen was the last to get up. He glanced at Jinxing. He could tell he was still nervous. Shall I drive you? He asked. I'm taking the subway, Jinxing replied quickly. Chahng put on his helmet. Where are you going? He asked. And so, riding his motorcycle through the chilly spring wind, Chahng drove Jinxing to his first formal job. He could tell that Jinxing was heading to an important job interview, so he made conversation on the way to ease his anxiety. When they reached the meeting point, he blew Jinxing a kiss. Break a leg. Love ya. Jinxing blew him a kiss back, and off went Chahng to scout for his venue. Seeing a big group of people gathered in front of a large bus, Jinxing dialed the number his contact had given him. A woman answered, and she looked around and waved him over. Hello, Where's your manager? The woman asked impatiently. She looked to be in her 30s and had a pass pinned to her chest that said, Coordinator. Why are you alone? I don't have one. Her question made Jinxing nervous. He got even more nervous when he saw a few girls staring at him and whispering to each other, and then smiling at him. Huh? The coordinator looked stunned, and Jinxing's heart skipped a beat. They couldn't have gotten the wrong person. No, she probably thinks you're the director. An actor. Sorry. They couldn't have gotten the wrong person, could they? But then it finally dawned on the coordinator. Oh, you're the camera assistant Director Zhu referred to us. I thought you were an actor. See? Whoa, the onlookers exclaimed in surprise. Jinxing blinked. Huh? The coordinator laughed, adopting a dazzling smile. You're so handsome. A bit embarrassed, Jinxing nodded. The coordinator found an ID badge for him. You can affix your photo to it later. We'll meet here every morning at 8. All right, everyone, on the bus. Add me on WeChat, said the young woman, approaching him. I'm the production assistant. I'm from the production crew, someone else said. The coordinator held up a hand to stop them. I'll add him to our group chat. Everyone get on the bus already, now. Jinxing glanced at his ID badge, which told everyone that he was a camera assistant. He got on the bus in a daze. Everyone else on the bus seemed to know each other. They talked among themselves, shooting him curious looks. Gradually, Jinxing's nerves subsided. Not knowing what to do in this unfamiliar environment, he took out his phone. He had a message from Yuwen. How's it going? Jinxing replied that he was on the bus, but he didn't know what to do, and he wondered if they would ask him to act. He also took a photo of his ID badge for Yuwen. Don't mess around, Yuwen told him. Find your team leader. Look for the people from the camera crew and sit with them. Huh. Oh, right. But I can't see their IDs, Jinxing replied. Ask around. Ask anyone. They'll tell you. So, Jinxing tucked away his phone and asked around. Someone pointed the camera crew out to him, and he hurried to the back of the bus and greeted them. Oh, so you're Jinxing, said a middle-aged man. He was in his 40s with a weathered face and graying hair, which poked out from under his hat. Wow, you're a handsome one, aren't you? The 4 members of the camera crew broke into laughter. I'm Wang Bo-tal, the middle-aged man added. Just call me Bo-tal. I'm the first camera operator. This is Liu Peng, the second camera operator. Jinxing greeted them politely. Each camera person had an apprentice who seemed to have even more social anxiety than Jinxing. They bowed and greeted each other humbly, and the apprentices added Jinxing's WeChat contact. Wang Bo-tal motioned for Jinxing to sit beside him, so he did. The bus was almost full, and the last person to board was another middle-aged man. The others greeted him, and Wang Bo-tal told Jinxing, "That's the director." The director walked to the back of the bus and stopped in front of the camera crew. Jinxing hastily stood up and bowed. "Ha! You must be Jinxing," the director said. "My word, what a handsome lad." The director even shook his hand, earning Jinxing a lot of questioning looks from other parts of the bus. The whole thing made him uneasy and anxious. He felt like he was getting special treatment. The director turned around. "Well, if everyone's here, let's go." With that, the bus departed, leaving the city and heading to the filming location. Jinxing's phone was buzzing non-stop since he boarded the bus, and when he took it out, he found that he'd been added to several Under the Spring Breeze group chats for the film, coordination, camera, and production crews. The deluge of messages overwhelmed Jinxing, but a new text from Zhang Yuwen stood out. "When you're with your mentor, don't look at your phone unless necessary." Jinxing immediately set his phone to silent mode and put it away. Wang Botao leaned over and asked, "Chang, is this your first time on a production crew?" "Yes. What should I do when we get there?" "Just follow me," said Wang Botao. He'd clearly been briefed about Jinxing. Jinxing nodded obediently. "Okay." The bus drove for almost an hour. It left Jiangdong and ultimately stopped at a corner of a suburban park on the west side of the city. There was a villa in the park, with a stream and a forest, that the film production crew had rented to film a 12-episode youth idol drama. The content of the drama was contrived and unremarkable, but the producer clearly didn't care about viewership and was only out to make some money. There wasn't much investor interest, and all that really mattered was that the company had some projects to keep them going. The film production crew set up an altar and hung banners outside the villa. Everyone scrambled to get ready, and the male and female leads arrived in their respective vans. Together, they prayed to celebrate the commencement of filming, and the camera crew took promotional photos that would be handed over to the producer to use for publicity back at the company. As this was Jinxing's first drama shoot, he was curious about anything and everything, and he noticed that all the actors had very typical features, skinny with small faces. He didn't find the male lead particularly handsome, but the female lead was quite attractive. The morning shoot officially began, and the first scene featured the leads arguing inside the villa. That was when Jinxing learned that filming wasn't done in chronological order. He received the scene schedule breakdown and followed the lead camera operator around, assisting him by handing him the equipment and coordinating with the lighting crew and the others. They filmed the same scene 2 or 3 times. The leads' acting skills weren't just poor, they couldn't even remember their lines. The director rubbed his forehead and, with a look of resignation, approved the take. At first, Jinxing was engrossed in watching them, but unfortunately, before long, he remembered why he was there. His job as the camera assistant was fairly simple, and Wang Botao, with an unlit cigarette in his mouth as he filmed, often told Jinxing to watch while he explained concepts such as focal distance, aperture, and the difference between front and back lighting. Although Jinxing was familiar with photography, he only had a rudimentary understanding of the theory behind it, and the lack of formal knowledge made it challenging for him to learn. He couldn't even take out his notebook to jot down some notes. The gears in his brain were working so hard they were practically smoking. They took a break for lunch after filming 2 scenes, and Jinxing took the opportunity to check his phone. Acting on the tip from Zhang Yuwen, he quickly collected lunch for the entire crew and went to the nearby market to buy drinks. "Excuse me," someone said, but the question they wanted to ask Jinxing died on their lips when he turned around. "Whoa, are you an actor?" Jinxing waved this question away and showed the person his ID badge. "No, I'm a camera assistant." "Where's the restroom?" Jinxing pointed, and the person left. Everyone who saw him wore the same look on their face. Whoa, what a hottie! He was used to this. But the members of the film production crew were very direct about it, as if handsome was a product attribute that people remarked on with the same frankness with which they might pronounce a bag expensive. It made him a little uncomfortable. On the other hand, the lead and second camera operators were kind to him, and the director even made a point of coming over to check on him during the lunch break. After lunch, Wang Bo-tao smoked his cigarette and took a nap, as was apparently his habit. Jinxing, feeling sleepy himself, dozed off for a while too. The lead cameraman's apprentice came to wake him up in the afternoon, at which point he went back to work, helping to push the camera. The job was hard, but Jinxing didn't mind it. Here, with the film production crew, he felt like a person, not an object. That afternoon, the second male lead arrived for his scene, which took place in the garden during early spring. He was with the supporting actor who played his childhood friend, sharing his impressions of the female lead as he waited for her favor. "Push the camera to him later," Wang Bo-tao said to Jinxing. "Pay attention to the focus." And just like that, Wang Bo-tao let Jinxing take over. Completely oblivious to what this meant, Jinxing took over the camera and aimed it at the scene. The apprentices stared, shocked. What kind of connections must this guy have to get to touch the camera on his very first day? The clapperboard clapped, and now it was Jinxing's turn to be shocked. A familiar face appeared in the frame. Who-ohuh. Alrighty. We know where this is going, don't we? Okay. Alrighty. The second male lead was Who-ohuh, the small-time actor he'd met on the cruise ship. Jinxing had always had a good memory, and he rarely forgot a face or name. It was one of his survival skills. He stared nervously at the viewfinder, adjusting the focus as Wang Bo-tao had taught him and observing the scene. Who-ohuh looked completely different here. In Jinxing's memory, he was one of the underdogs on the cruise, timid and restrained, no better off than Jinxing. But the moment he was on camera, he became a different person. Exuding the charisma of an actor, getting into character with the flip of a switch, he owned the role of a love-struck second male lead right down to his gaze and expression, radiating deep emotion from every pore. Jinxing, who'd met him recently, focused harder on Who-ohuh. "This guy isn't cutting it," the director said suddenly from behind Jinxing. Jinxing, startled, thought for a moment that he was talking about Who-ohuh, but he listened closely and realized the director meant another person, the childhood friend who was sitting beside the second male lead. "He can't act for shit." "The childhood friend is an internet celebrity," came a woman's voice, also behind Jinxing. "His company pushed him on us." Wang Bo-tao tactfully walked away from the conversation, but Jinxing, who was standing right next to them, couldn't leave. He had to keep an eye on the camera. "Talk to the company," the director said. "Let's just wrap this scene up for now." "Cut!" The director and the woman he was talking to left, and Wang Bo-tao came back. Done with the scene, Who-ohuh walked over to the camera crew, all smiles, to greet and speak to the director. Jinxing glanced at him occasionally as he prepared the equipment for the next scene. It was interesting to see this other side of him. Noticing his gaze, Who-ohuh met Jinxing's eyes, and they traded knowing looks. Jinxing smiled. The woman who had been speaking with the director returned then. "Let me see the scene from just now," she said to Jinxing, then added, "Wow." Jinxing assumed she was leaving a "you're so handsome" unsaid. He quickly nodded and played back the previous scene for her. Wang Bo-tao returned, sipping tea from his thermos cup. "This is the producer," he said to Jinxing. Jinxing hastened to greet her. "Hello." "Oh, so you're Jinxing," the producer exclaimed. "So sorry. I should have called you myself, but I was swamped last night. There's always so much to do before filming starts." "No worries," he said with a smile. The producer responded with a warm smile of her own. "Let me treat you to a meal after we wrap up the filming." Jinxing wondered who exactly Zhang Yuwen had contacted to get him this job. The way the film production crew treated him was like night and day compared to how they treated the rest of the camera crew. Did Zhang Yuwen know some kind of industry big shot? "Yeah, this won't do," the producer muttered. "They're a company that grooms internet celebrities. Wang Shuo, where's the assistant director?" She left again, and the director continued filming like nothing had happened. Unbeknownst to Jinxing, those few words had decided the future of an internet celebrity who wanted to get into acting. The entire afternoon was scheduled entirely for the filming of the second male lead's scenes, and the main male lead had already left without even meeting him. Next up were several scenes between the second male lead and the female lead. At 4 p.m., the company sent over afternoon tea as a treat for the first day of filming. A 20-minute tea break was called, and everyone snatched up coffee and cakes. With a cup of coffee in hand, Woo walked over to Jinxing, who was sitting off to the side, using this precious break to check his phone and reply to messages. Seeing Woo standing in front of him, he looked up. Ooh, Woo's a little cutie. We have a picture on page 41. Sorry. Woo smiled. So we meet again. Jinxing put his phone away, made a shushing gesture, and shook his hand with a smile. Woo seemed to have an aura about him when he was on set, the air of a professional. It made him seem like a completely different person from the Z-list actor Jinxing met on the cruise ship. Have you always worked as the cameraman for film production crews? Woo asked. No, I was referred to this job by a friend, Jinxing replied. He really had to demand answers from Zhang Yuwen when he got home. This was no job referral from a random HR agency. Jinxing might have never had a proper job before, but he wasn't stupid, and he could tell from the way everyone was acting around him that the person who referred him must have been a big deal. Woo hesitated, seeming to want to ask something, but then filming for the next scene began. Jinxing grinned at him. I'll get a good shot of you, he said, laughing, and they went their separate ways. Evening scenes were challenging to film, so Wang Bo-tao took over again while Jinxing watched intently from the side. Wang Bo-tao had him adjust the props, and Jinxing ran onto the set to do so, meticulously tweaking things to cover up any slips. A couple of scenes later, the director announced a wrap on filming for the day. It was nearly 8 p.m., and Jinxing was famished as he packed the equipment. The film production crew wouldn't provide dinner unless there were night scenes to film. Jinxing was kept busy all day, and he was at his physical and mental limits. He had to push equipment, run errands, and scurry back and forth between the shooting site and camera to relay messages. And now he was hungry, cold, thirsty, and tired. He shivered in the chilly wind, his mind a foggy haze. A man came over and, with both hands, offered Jinxing a bottled drink and a sandwich. Hello, Woo got these for you. Thank you, Jinxing said. From the solemn way the man held the items out to him, he wondered if this was some kind of token of love. Finally, it was over. At 8:30, he took the bus back to the city and fell asleep. When he woke, he found that he had a friend request on his messenger app. To his surprise, the request showed Woo's profile picture. He accepted it. He also learned he would have to wake up even earlier the next morning because they had to set off at 7 o'clock. With his camera in hand, he took the subway home. He was utterly exhausted when he got home. Was this how Yuwen felt every day when he opened the front door? If there were a mug of steaming hot milk and a plate of piping hot dinner waiting for him on the dining table, he would marry the person responsible without hesitation and hold their hand until the end of the universe. Jinxing's reverie was interrupted by what he found when he walked into the dining room. Zhang Yuwen stared at him in silence, and Jinxing stared back. There, on the dining table, was a mug of hot cocoa and a bowl of curry rice. That's just so funny. Zhang Yuwen is so good. Oh, gosh. Okay. Is that for me? Jinxing couldn't believe his eyes. Yeah, Zhang Yuwen said. I figured you probably hadn't eaten yet. Jinxing pounced on Zhang Yuwen and made to kiss him, but Zhang Yuwen pushed his face away, exasperated. Oh, save it. Jinxing didn't even remove his coat before he sat down, downed half a mug of hot cocoa, and started gobbling up his food. He finally felt alive again. "Who exactly did you ask to refer me this job?" he asked at last. "Why? What did they say?" "Don't try to fool me. There's no way this job came from an HR agency. Tell me the truth. Did you work in the film industry? You couldn't be—" Jinxing glanced around the house, wondering if Zhang Yuwen had been living a double life this whole time. Before Jinxing could see through his pretense, Zhang Yuwen jumped in with a clever cover-up. "Our publishing company published the autobiography of a renowned director in the industry, and I was the editor in charge of the project. I got along with him, and even helped him write some of the content." "Oh." Jinxing remembered a name he'd heard. "Director Zhu?" "That's him, but don't tell anyone. I wasn't sure at first what kind of job he would recommend. How did it go?" Jinxing shared some anecdotes, and Zhang Yuwen seemed to understand everything he described. "You really know a lot," Jinxing said. His mental image of Zhang Yuwen was undergoing a strange transformation. He looked the same, but somehow Jinxing saw him differently. "I learned all of it while I was working on the autobiography," Zhang Yuwen explained. "Your drama is a small one that will take 20 days to complete filming, so it's not all that tough, and you won't have to stay up late working." Jinxing was completely worn out, but most of his exhaustion stemmed from the lack of sleep he'd had the night before. "How much are they paying you per project?" I don't know," Jinxing replied blankly. "You didn't ask?" "Am I allowed to ask? It felt kind of embarrassing to bring it up." Zhang Yuwen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "But I'd keep going there even if I wasn't getting paid. I really learned a lot today. This is exactly the kind of work I want to do. Thank you, Yuwen," Jinxing said, sincerely grateful. Zhang Yuwen gestured for him to go to bed soon, since he had to wake up early in the morning. He didn't tell Jinxing that the referrer was the reason the film production crew was so courteous toward him. Some jobs looked glamorous on the surface, but were full of parasites underneath, and in this regard, the film and television industry was no better than any other. In some respects, it was actually worse. But Jinxing had the same hopes and aspirations as every other newcomer who entered this line of work, and Zhang Yuwen didn't want to rain on his parade. Jinxing dragged his battered body upstairs to sleep, but Zhang Yuwen remained in the dining room, working on his novel. He had fallen into the habit of sitting in the dining room for a while during the evening, sometimes waiting for Suh-chun to reply to his messages, sometimes reading a book. Today, he was writing. After 8, his roommates always returned home, one after the other, and each would sit beside Zhang Yuwen and say a few words to him. Chahng, for example, set his motorcycle helmet on the table, opened the refrigerator, and found a sandwich. "Can I eat this?" "That belongs to Jinxing," Zhang Yuwen said. "It might be his breakfast tomorrow. I'll heat some milk for you." "I'll just buy him another one tomorrow." Sitting opposite Zhang Yuwen, Chahng drank his milk and made quick work of the token of love that Kong-yu had given to Jinxing. "Where's Yuwen?" "Asleep," Zhang Yuwen answered. "Where did you go?" With the new year in full swing, everyone seemed tired, always busy, busy, busy. Chahng took out his phone. "Help me out. I'm looking at these 3 locations." He showed Zhang Yuwen several potential sites for his gym and asked for his advice. "I have 120,000 in funds now. Was thinking of renting a cheaper one." Zhang Yuwen examined the square footage and layout of each of the 3 locations. "That depends on how you want to market your gym. The locations are fine. They're just in different areas." "Yeah," Chahng sighed. "Last time, I wanted to go high-end, but it didn't work out. I'm not keen on adopting a high-level, low-margin model either. It's too tiring and too little money for too much work." Money, money, money. Chahng's life seemed to revolve around money. This was his last gamble. It would determine whether he'd stay in Jiangdong or return to his hometown. He had to act with prudence. He couldn't find investors at this point, so his only option was to use his own savings. "Which are you better at?" Zhang Yuwen asked. "Running a high-end studio in an upscale neighborhood or catering to the general public with affordable prices?" "I don't know," Chahng said, feeling lost. "I've lost a lot of my confidence after all those setbacks." Suh-chun said you're an excellent professional in your field. Yeah, but that doesn't always translate to profit. Zhang Yuwen pointed at one of the locations. This one isn't bad, I think, but remember, it's just my opinion. Running a business seemed complex to Zhang Yuwen. Used as he was to trading his skills for money, operating a company or shop came with so many uncontrollable variables, and there was always the risk of being forced to close down in an economic downturn. Chahng took his phone back from Zhang Yuwen. Just then, a message notification sounded from his gay dating app. Zhang Yuwen glanced at it. Are you still using that app? Yeah. I'd like to look for a potential partner too, I think. Why? You have an opinion on it? Zhang Yuwen laughed. He'd downloaded the same app before, but had deleted it before long. Chahng said it for him. It's just that the users there are only looking for hookups. Yeah, especially when they see someone with a great physique like you. They get carried away by lust. Chahng sighed and scrolled for a while. What do you think of this one? Zhang Yuwen looked at the profile. It belonged to an elite business professional who matched Chahng's type. Not bad, I guess, but don't bring him home. If you want to hook up, go get a hotel room. Nah, Chahng said. While he had sexual needs, and the sexual needs of a fitness trainer were even more potent than those of the average person, he mostly preferred to take care of them himself. When you're single, do you ever hook up with strangers? Not really, Zhang Yuwen equivocated, not wanting to hurt Chahng's feelings. How about acquaintances? That's even weirder. The way I see it, sleeping with someone establishes some sort of relationship with them. Honestly, though, you don't need to worry about what I think. I'm not worried about what you think, really. Some heterosexuals also like to hook up, Zhang Yuwen added. It's just a preference. Not hooking up doesn't give someone the moral high ground. I know. Spring had arrived, and Zhang Yuwen knew his roommates were all a bit horny. Of course, he had desires too. Chahng had to wake up early the next morning, so he went to bed after their conversation. The next morning, Jinxing woke up even earlier, and he and Chahng agreed that Chahng would drive him to the meeting point again. Where's my sandwich? Jinxing howled. I ate it, Chahng confessed, but I got you this. Someone gave that to me. Oh? Chahng had learned Zhang Yuwen's art of asking, oh? It was more than 1,000 words of teasing. In fact, everyone from No. 7 Riverbay Road had picked up this habit. Jinxing remained silent. Chahng drove him to his destination and dropped him off. I'm leaving, Chahng said. Work hard. Do your best. Jinxing hummed in response and handed Chahng a small envelope. What's this? Chahng asked. A love letter? Cake voucher. You can exchange it for a cake and a cup of coffee. It was a gift from a fan of the lead actor who'd visited the set the previous evening. Everyone had one. Mwah! Chahng blew Jinxing a kiss. Mwah! Jinxing returned it. Chahng started his electric motorcycle and drove away. Sometimes, Chahng wanted to kiss Jinxing on the lips. If Jinxing wasn't his roommate and was instead just some stranger he'd met on that dating app, Chahng would absolutely have had sex with him. Even better, with Jinxing being such a player, Chahng wouldn't even need to take responsibility afterward. But after that night when he and Jinxing jerked off together, things had been a bit weird between them. They were like good bros, closer than ordinary friends, but without the emotional bond that real buddies forged over years or decades. The only thing was that they had seen each other's naked bodies, touched each other's dicks, beat each other off. After some thought, though, Chahng had curbed the idea of going any further with Jinxing. He hoped they could be good friends. Good friends weren't easy to come by in life. Come to think of it, after they left school, people who used to be friends often took different paths in life and gradually lost touch. Everyone in society wore a mask, only ever thinking about their own self-interest. The only people he could really call his friends were the ones he'd met at Riverbay Road. Jinxing, Weize, Zhang Yuwen, and Yanne. Chahng truly cherished these friends. But for the last little while, he had been feeling out of sorts. He kept dwelling on his failures, ramping up the pressure he put on himself until it became a kind of self-hypnosis and almost sent him spiraling into depression. Then spring came, and seeing Zhang Yuwen dating Suh-chun made him want to fall in love too. He desperately needed to build up his confidence as a man. The last time he felt so confident was when, well, it was during sex with his ex. He was able to satisfy practically all of his sexual fantasies and try out all sorts of positions. The sex lasted a long time, and it was good. Both facts led to satisfaction like Chun-hong had never experienced before. Chun-hong indulged his desire to conquer, and his ex achieved physical pleasure. He desperately needed to have sex. It didn't matter who the other guy was. He needed to conquer him and recover the confidence he'd lost when life beat him down. In short, Chun-hong decided to leave everything else on the back burner and find himself a hookup from the app. Chapter 30. Chun-hong traded his voucher for coffee and cake, then took his seat and opened his dating app. He had uploaded a few of his workout photos to his profile a while back, wondering if he could find some clients through the app. Many had taken the initiative to reach out to him, but he'd never made the move to meet them in person because, deep in his heart, he still thought of himself as mostly straight. Maybe a 70-30 split, 70% straight, 30% gay. Perhaps he would one day go on to get married, have kids, and start a heterosexual family. But if he started dating a bunch of different guys, there'd be no turning back. Armed with this odd mindset, he downloaded the app to see just how much attention he could garner with the abs and pecs he had so painstakingly developed over the years of grueling workouts. Everything else was inconsequential. Yanjuan used the same app. Chun-hong had once asked him about it, and Yanjuan's response was that he was just looking at guys on there and imagining dating them, nothing more. Chun-hong could easily believe that Yanjuan was too busy to have the time or energy for casual hookups. Weize used it too, but he didn't hook up with people from the apps. He had to live stream in the evenings. Hookups would have held him back from making money. He was also wary of strangers, fearing he'd be bullied and scammed. Ah yes, instead of being bullied by strangers, let's just be bullied by people we know. Okay, sure. The only two who weren't on the app were Jinxing and Zhang Yuwen. Jinxing himself was a walking dating app. Man or woman, everyone wanted to sleep with him. If he wanted to make friends, he could just sit in a bar for a few minutes, and someone would offer him drinks or book a hotel room. He wouldn't have to spend a dime. And Zhang Yuwen, for his part, was a bit of an ascetic. Maybe it was his lifestyle habits, or maybe he just didn't like hooking up. Thinking over his roommates' love lives, Chun-hong updated his profile with a photo that Weize had touched up for him, one that revealed his face. Within 20 minutes, he received more than 40 messages. Of course, these people only wanted a taste of his body. None of them wanted a relationship. Perhaps, in their eyes, someone like Chun-hong was just on the app to have a good time. Wanna hook up? Hook up? Hook up. Hook up. Hook up. Like an emperor choosing among his consorts, Chun-hong found one that best met his aesthetic standards. Under 18% body fat, broad shoulders, long legs, and an austere vibe. Now, Chun-hong replied. I'm at work, the other guy responded. I can go to your office, Chun-hong suggested, inspired by Zhang Yuwen's kink. What about the restroom? Apparently, that startled the other guy. Ain't that a bit risky? Where are you? Chun-hong asked. The guy sent the location, an industrial park a little over a mile away. Chun-hong sent him his own location from the cake shop. I'll get a room. He found a nearby hotel with inexpensive rooms that charged by the hour. It would only become costly if they stayed overnight. The other guy didn't reply for a while. Meanwhile, Chun-hong got up and started moving. Feeling proactive, he bought lube and condoms from the convenience store next door, then rode to the hotel. He received the other guy's message on the way. Fine, I'll come earlier. Give me the room number once you've booked one. Chun-hong got a room that charged over 200 yuan an hour. He knew that few could resist his allure. As he took his next step, His confidence washed over him like a tide. No, like a tsunami. He waited in the hotel room for 10 or so minutes before someone rang the doorbell. He opened the door without looking through the peephole. It was a man in his 20s, about the same height as Chahng. He wore black-rimmed glasses and was dressed in a suit, shirt, and tie, plus a trench coat to complete the look. A fair-skinned man. He looked gentle and refined. When he saw Chahng, he hesitated for the briefest of moments, because Chahng's photo had clearly been retouched to make him look better. The difference wasn't drastic enough for him to change his mind about hooking up, though. Chahng pulled him in, wrapped his arms around his waist, and began kissing him. After a brief internal struggle, he accepted Chahng and deepened the kiss. Chahng closed his eyes and imagined his ex as he pushed the man onto the bed. Panting, the man stripped down to just his shirt. Chahng put on the condom, applied the lube, and prepared to enter. "No, wait, it's too big." The elite-looking man started to panic. "Too big! Dude, wait!" Chahng bent over and kissed him. Then, pinning down his wrists, he thrust in. Alrighty, everyone. Although it is literally just page 55 that I am basically omitting, not all of it, I just wanted to let you know that the remaining smut will be redacted. I just didn't feel comfortable putting it on YouTube, so it has been removed. Anyway, we're continuing the story in 3, 2. Post-nut clarity set in. The two of them looked at each other, speechless. "Need a hand?" "I came too," Mr. Elite said expressionlessly. While Chahng fucked him, he'd been jacking himself off. They'd climaxed almost simultaneously, a rare occurrence in sexual encounters and a testament to their chemistry. "Okay," Chahng said. "Then that's goodbye, I guess." "I'm a top!" Mr. Elite fumed. "Huh? Why didn't you say so earlier?" "When did you give me a chance to?" Mr. Elite was on the verge of coming undone. Chahng's strength was too much for him to take, especially when he'd started out by taking his mouth and pinning his wrists. "Why the heck did you contact me then? I thought you were a bottom." With a towel, Mr. Elite cleaned the semen off his abdomen and wiped himself in the back with a towel. Chahng tried to take the towel to help him, but Mr. Elite, red-faced, told him to get lost. "Well, neither of us read the introductions on the app," Chahng said, "so we're both to blame." Mr. Elite was finally starting to calm down. "I have bottomed before," he admitted. "I knew it," Chahng thought. "If you didn't want me to fuck you, why didn't you say no? You obviously enjoyed it too. Crafty bottoms like you can't be trusted." "Are you going to take a shower?" Mr. Elite asked. "This room is paid by the hour, and I only reserved it for 2 hours. It's only been half an hour. Well, either way, I'll skip the shower until I get home." "Let me extend the room for you." "It's fine. I'm leaving soon." After some thought, though, Chahng did take a shower. A while later, Mr. Elite came in too. This was Chahng's first hookup with a stranger, and he wasn't really sure about the etiquette, but it seemed rude to just leave, so he waited for the other guy to finish showering. "Are we splitting the cost of the room?" Mr. Elite asked him when he emerged, putting on his glasses. "No," Chahng said. "Wait, is there a rule about that?" Mr. Elite, who had been tidying his hair, burst out laughing. Chahng looked at him and realized that he was pretty handsome. "Some people want to go Dutch," Mr. Elite explained, "but I never do when I get a room." "Yeah, okay then. We need to split the bill." "Let me treat you to lunch," Mr. Elite said as they left the room and went to the elevator. He didn't press the button, and Chahng waited for a while before pressing it himself. His experience with people told him that this guy was probably well off. "I've already eaten." Chahng wasn't too inclined to have lunch after dessert. "Where are you going? I can give you a ride." Chahng waved this offer away, and when they reached the hotel entrance, they said their goodbyes. Chahng watched as Mr. Elite walked to the parking lot, opened the door to a Porsche, and drove away. Feeling rather conflicted, he was no longer in the mood to go check out the potential gym locations. All he wanted was to go home. What a mess. The more Chun-hong thought about the whole thing, the more he regretted it. He felt as if his vows of chastity had been compromised. What principles had he been upholding all these years? And why had he given them up today? He felt guilty, but then again, he was a free adult who could do anything he wanted as long as he didn't break the law. I didn't betray anyone, so why do I feel guilty? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because you thought about all of your roommates while you were doing the guy? Anyway, fortunately, his mood improved when he got home and saw his friends. Suh-chun and Zhang Yuwen were eating at home. It was obvious that Suh-chun had taken some time off on his lunch break to visit Zhang Yuwen. You haven't eaten yet? Zhang Yuwen asked Chun-hong. I'll just have a black coffee. Chun-hong sat down at the dining table. What do you have there, Suh-chun? Oh, you brought pizza? I'll have some of that then. Suddenly ravenous, he devoured half of it. What did you do today? Zhang Yuwen asked him. Have you decided on the new gym? Suh-chun chimed in, knowing that Chun-hong was looking for locations. I met with a hookup, Chun-hong said, rendering Zhang Yuwen and Suh-chun speechless. Belatedly, it occurred to him that the dining table might not have been the best place to bring that up. Sorry. No, go on, Zhang Yuwen said. What happened after? That's it, Chun-hong said. You have a photo? Show us, said Zhang Yuwen. Why are you interested in this hookup? Suh-chun asked. Just curious. Why? Chun-hong took out his phone and pulled up the photo for him. He used a filter. Oh, not bad. He looked a bit familiar to Zhang Yuwen, who elected not to mention that lest it lead to any wild speculation. Suh-chun glanced at the photo but did not comment on it. Feeling listless, Chun-hong went back to his room for a nap after his lunch. He's under a lot of pressure, Zhang Yuwen said. Suh-chun nodded. I go fishing when I'm stressed. What kind of fishing? The regular kind, but sometimes I catch something else. Such as? You don't eat the pizza crust, do you? Suh-chun asked instead of answering him. Rich kids sure are different. There are all kinds of rich kids. Don't change the subject. Go on, tell me. What else have you caught? A fish that doesn't eat pizza crusts. Zhang Yuwen paused, then realized that Suh-chun meant the time they met at the laser tag arena last year. He burst out laughing. You... Zhang Yuwen looked at Suh-chun with doubt in his eyes. Back then, you already... Suh-chun thought about it. I guess so. Yeah, I have to admit it. You're right. It's exactly what you're thinking. Zhang Yuwen and Suh-chun had a unique rapport. They didn't even have to finish their sentences to get their meaning across to each other. What Zhang Yuwen wanted to ask was, you already had feelings for me? And Suh-chun's answer was a resounding yes. You had ulterior motives, Zhang Yuwen said. I won't let you leave today until you admit that. Suh-chun laughed and got up to make coffee. I wanted to date a guy. I'd been thinking about it for a long time after I broke up with my ex. You remember I said that I have erectile dysfunction, right? Oh, Zhang Yuwen nodded. So here's the thing. I don't feel a thing toward girls, or even guys for that matter, but somehow I feel like if I change my lifestyle and find the right guy to live with, everything will feel a lot more natural. Or who knows, maybe I just want to escape responsibility. Mutual understanding comes a lot easier when it's a relationship between two guys, since they think similarly. Zhang Yuwen said, my childhood friend is married, but apart from sex, I think he prefers to hang out with guys. Maybe that's how it is with marriages and families, said Suh-chun. But there are also many families where both parties complement each other perfectly and achieve mutual understanding. All I can say is that it has nothing to do with personality. It all depends on whether you meet the right person. Yeah, meeting the right person is very important. I won't go into my ex's flaws, but I began to doubt myself when I was with her. I felt like I wasn't a good boyfriend, and I lost faith in love because of it. And then there was the physical aspect of it. Yeah. Zhang Yuwen wanted to laugh every time he thought about Suh-chun's impressive endowment and erectile dysfunction. I don't even know why I went fishing that day, but I met you, Suh-chun said. At the time, I thought that if there was someone out there I'd want to spend the rest of my life with, it would be someone like you. But you didn't even know what kind of person I was. Someone who looks like you, Suh-chun clarified. Zhang Yuwen laughed. So you're just shallow. Suh-chun took his phone out and showed Zhang Yuwen a photo. It was a candid shot Suh-chun had secretly taken at the laser tag arena. They'd been by the lakeside, listening to the owner explain the rules, and Suh-chun was standing a short distance away and snapped a photo of Zhang Yuwen's profile against the light. Suddenly, Zhang Yuwen had less trouble believing that Suh-chun fell in love with him at first sight. But you don't have ED. Trust me, Zhang Yuwen said. You just had some setbacks in your relationships on top of work stress. It was only temporary. Maybe. Later, I found that feeling again, when we went hiking. Oh? When specifically? When I lifted your shirt to apply ointment for you, Suh-chun said. Your skin was very fair, with a certain sort of masculine appeal. Zhang Yuwen's first thought was, damn, Jinxing's a real player. His observations are spot on. Jinxing, of course, had been the first to notice Suh-chun's fleeting shift in expression. That night, we slept in the same bed, Suh-chun went on, and you hugged me in the middle of the night. My libido came back. You reawakened it. Zhang Yuwen just smiled, but Suh-chun was looking at him thoughtfully. I want to make love to you. Suh-chun leaned in a little and looked into Zhang Yuwen's eyes. Can I? I want to have sex with you. I want to love you properly. You can teach me. I'll do everything I can to satisfy you. Zhang Yuwen looked at Suh-chun and leaned in to kiss him. His request was too formal, too serious to refuse. Okay, now? I'll go lock everyone's doors right away. Suh-chun laughed. I'll come find you in a few days, he said, seemingly thinking about the time. Zhang Yuwen hummed an acknowledgement. Let me be the top. We agreed on it. I know, said Zhang Yuwen. Suh-chun glanced at his watch, but didn't get up. Going back to work? I'm still hard, Suh-chun said. I almost came when you kissed me just now. Suh-chun had turned himself on with all the flirting, and when Zhang Yuwen kissed him, they both had a reaction. Zhang Yuwen was in his loungewear, but Suh-chun was wearing a pair of suit pants, and his erection was straining against the fabric. We're the only ones here, Zhang Yuwen pointed out. What are you shy about? Doing his best to calm himself, Suh-chun put on his suit jacket and headed for the door. For a brief moment, he almost thought of number 7 Riverbay Road as his home. But if you make me feel too uncomfortable, Zhang Yuwen warned, half serious and half teasing, there'll be no next time. I'll be sure to prepare in advance, Suh-chun said. I'm leaving. Zhang Yuwen saw him to the door, and Suh-chun gave him a peck before driving away. Damn, Zhang Yuwen thought. Why do I feel like a wife sending his husband off to work? When Yanne came back that night, Chahng, feeling refreshed from his afternoon nap, went to his room to chat with him and play with Xiao-chee. I had a hookup this afternoon, Chahng said. Oh, said Yanne. Everyone was imitating Zhang Yuwen. Chahng sighed. Did you top? Yeah, he wasn't bad. Well off. Drove a Porsche. Uh-huh. Yanne sprinkled baby powder on Xiao-chee like he was preparing a dish. Zhang Yuwen knocked on the door. Is Jinxing back yet? No, Yanne replied. Want to come in and hang out? Zhang Yuwen, it turned out, wanted to play with Xiao-chee for a while too. So cute, he said. Xiao-chee waved at him, calling out, Yuwen, Yuwen! So he got straight to the point, holding Xiao-chee by her hands and doing some crib exercises with her. Chahng sighed. A moment later, he asked, Are you guys listening to me? We're listening. Zhang Yuwen was helping to dress Xiao-chee in a onesie after her exercises. She was such a soft, adorable baby. Keep going, Yanne said. Who paid for the room? That's not important, Chahng said. But guys, what happens when a guy who's never hooked up with a stranger before finally does it? He acts exactly like you. He goes around asking other people their opinions, Yanne said. Exactly. Zhang Yuwen gave Yanne a nod of approval for saying what he'd been thinking. Chahng didn't know what to say to that. He didn't feel like he was dirty, but he did decide not to go for any more casual hookups because, in the end, the experience hadn't changed his life in any way. At most, it just shifted his attention away from his career to his libido. He intended to delete the app that night, but a last peek at it showed several messages from Mr. Elite. Yeah. How about exchanging contact info? One of them read, providing his own contact information. Chun-hong hesitated. Maybe this rich guy could introduce him to some big clients. In the end, he steeled himself and added Mr. Elite, feeling like a sneaky thief. Then, he clicked on the red X in the upper right corner of the app. Well, I think that's a good stopping point. I actually intended to end at chapter 29, but when I saw the little bit of smut that was in chapter 30 because of how chapter 29 ended, I was like, oh no way I'm reading this live. So I read an extra chapter tonight. We have gotten our opening to volume 2, and honestly, I'm liking it thus far. Maybe not necessarily everything that's happening, but I'm liking just the overall tone. So let's go through some of my notes, shall we? Can I just say, for us to start with this whole situationship between Jinxing and Weize, I hated it. And I don't mean I hate it the way it was written or anything like that. I just mean that I absolutely hate that Jinxing is playing with Weize's heart and that he's such a fuckboy like this. And Weize is young, you know? I know that I mentioned before that I find him annoying like I would a young person, I suppose. Not all young people are annoying. I mean, I'm still young. But anyway, but that doesn't mean I dislike him, you know? And to see him being so played with like this, it's upsetting. And it's on one hand, it's like, yeah, well, he should have better self-esteem and better picking guys. He absolutely should. But at the same time, he's just going with what he knows, you know? And he really likes Jinxing. So right now, I just feel really bad for him. And then, of course, it's clear that he's seeking love in all the wrong places, you know, seeking them in a man who's just kind of leading him on, giving him just enough, but pulling back enough to keep him like in a state of, I don't know what to do. And then, of course, this whole Mr. Whiskey guy, he's living a lie, you know, in the live streams, pretending to be a girl and falling for a guy. And the guy probably doesn't even know. And of course, right now, it's like, where's that going to go? It's either going to end in complete doom, which is highly likely, after the guy finds out that he's really a guy, or things will just be cut off and the guy will never know. Or the third option, the guy could find out some way, somehow, and things work out fine. But either way, the guy is still a douche or whatever, possibly, because he was cheating on his wife while his wife was cheating on him, and then he got home and there were divorce papers. So it's just like, Weize just, he doesn't really do good at picking guys. But if there's one thing that I've learned, is that he is simply picking what he's used to. He was bullied when he was younger, so he picks guys who bully him in a way, if you think about it, or at least he likes to pick guys who aren't going to treat him well. The straight friend didn't treat him well. Jinxing doesn't treat him well. We'll see when it comes to this whiskey guy, because clearly he's going to be mentioned again. Anyway, moving on from Weize, then we get a little bit about Chun-hong. Basically, he wants to use his savings to try one last time at making a gym, more on the private side, like a private gym or whatever. And he's resolved that if he doesn't make it this time, then he'll go back home and open a shop. So that is what that is. And then on the other hand, we have Yanne, who's doing quite well. Guy has everyone helping him with Xiao-chee, which has been good for his mental health and his physical health. And he got a promotion with a 70% salary bonus, or boost. I'm sorry, not bonus. So that's pretty nice. He's in good spirits. He's feeling bolder now, feeling more self-confidence. And now he really is like, okay, I'm going to shoot my shot at Zhang Yuwen. I don't care if he wants to try things out with Suh-chun. I'm going to still shoot my shot. And you know what? I'm here for it because I ain't trying to be funny. But let me see if I can go back to that page and find it. Did I put a mark here? Yes, I did. Page 26. When he was like, are you guys official now? And Zhang Yuwen's response is, I guess so. Yeah, we are. Don't know where to go, but it's worth a shot. Like, I'm sorry. that's not the proper response. And then even when Yuwen is like, you don't really like him that much. And it says, Zhang Yuwen did not speak for a long moment. Then he said, I actually do. It's like, he could have just been silent just because that's how he thinks or processes things. But for me, I was just still like, nope, you don't really like him that much. But again, I'm just still rooting for Yuwen. Like, I think Suh-chun is fine or whatever, but I just really want to win Yuwen. It's that bad. I don't think I've ever felt so strongly about a ship before in anything that I've read, any official Danmei series that I have read. So anyway, then we go to things coming on the up and up for Jinxing as well, with that whole favor that Zhang Yuwen had requested in order to get the vouchers and everything. Well, not in order to get the vouchers, but when he got the vouchers from his director friend, on the way, at least, he got Jinxing a job. And now Jinxing has got to shoot his shot in this industry. And he's nervous as heck because he's unsure if his skill reaches his ambition. Because the dude lied about what he did for school, you know, where he would have learned a lot of this stuff. But at the end of the day, Yuwen is like, it doesn't matter. They'll show you everything you need to know. And so, of course, one of the things that I wanted to point out was on page 37, because it had mentioned that, you know, Jinxing, he was tired or whatever, but I'm sorry, I'm trying to flip there. But he said with the film crew, he felt like a person and not an object, which I wanted to say I was happy to hear that for him, because I know that in the previous book, he hated being objectified, even though he would definitely use his looks to get by. So I'm glad that he's finally in an environment using his craft, his passion that he clearly has zeal for, and he doesn't feel like a tripod anymore, but rather he feels like the man pushing the tripod. You know, that's good progress for him, professionally speaking, career-wise. All the other fuckboy stuff is another story. Anyway, so then my next point, speaking of all of that mess, is that after his experience on set, Jinxing is on to Zhang Yuwen. And I'm here for it. I am totally here for it. I want one of them people that's living there to find out about Zhang Yuwen's double life. I want one of them to find out the truth and see their reaction and see how they feel with having to hide this information or something. I don't know. I just don't want it to be so simple and easy as one day Zhang Yuwen finally reveals it to everyone. I want somebody to find out. I don't know why I want that so bad, but I do, just so y'all know. So then the next thing I want to talk about is actually Chahng. Mr. Horny McPants horns. That didn't make sense. Anyway, he's supposed to be focusing on what it is, which building he wants to choose for his company, but instead he decides to have sex with Mr. Elite, which that whole encounter was, well, it was what it was. That's all I'll say about that. But I'm not mad at him for getting a hookup. You know, he's stressed, like Zhang Yuwen said, essentially. Like, should he have been out looking at the places? Yeah. They'll be there tomorrow, more than likely. And if they're not, that's, you know, his loss. But anyway, when they separated, I felt like he and Mr. Elite will probably meet up again. And now we know at the end they exchanged numbers or whatever. But it was just funny to me that he felt guilty for betraying his chastity vow. It's like, sir, it doesn't affect anyone except for you, I suppose. But also, sir, you thinking about all your roommates while you're screwing this guy? No. And then getting more excited about it, and the most excited when it came to Yuwen. So I was just like, Lord have mercy. And so then last but not least, the last thing we have is Suh-chun basically admitting it was love at first sight for him. You know, he took the photo. He was like, I saw you and knew that, like, I could spend the rest of my life with you, blah, blah, snore. And then admitting or telling Zhang Yuwen that he wanted to make love to him and he wanted to do it properly. And him just being so excited about all of that. That just was what it was. It was funny. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it with Suh-chun. Like, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I'm just not feeling it. And I know it's just because I want Jung Yuwen to be with Yuwen. So it's like, even though I think that Suh-chun is all right, I'm still just like, no, not feeling this relationship with you guys. But that's all I have to say on my notes. It's been a very interesting opening. So please let me know your thoughts and reactions in the comment section. And for my Patreoners, I shall see you tomorrow for a live reading of the next few chapters. For those of you on YouTube who hear that, disregard that. Obviously, it's going to be much later when you get this video. Well, 48 hours later. Yeah. But I will see you guys, though, at some point again. All right. I'm just rambling. So I'm going to get off here and say, well, Einiman.